Cameron Walker, you've just received a statement.
I have. I've received a statement from Buckingham Palace, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson. It says His Majesty the King is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Following their time in hospital together, of course, they were both at the London clinic receiving treatment. His Majesty has remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Both their Majesties, the King and Queen, will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family through this difficult time. So that is a statement from a Buckingham Palace spokesperson. And I think this just shows the close relationship between His Majesty the King and I quote, beloved daughter-in-law, Catherine, who are both currently receiving treatment for cancer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a bad run of luck, isn't it, Daniel? We've just been going through some of the kind of situations facing that family at the moment. I mean, that would be awful to face any family in private, but to do that on a public stage, I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
I don't know. It's very, very unfortunate. I mean, I think all the members of the royal family who are active members of the royal family accept that there is a part of their private life that is always going to have to be exposed to the public. You cannot be an entirely private person and a member of the royal family, an active member of the royal family. And they know that. And I think mentally they have some preparation for it. They obviously want to control to some extent the level of intrusion, and quite rightly so, because they're entitled to privacy just as much as anybody else. But I think they're probably better mentally prepared for some level of exposure to the public than others are, because they know it comes as part of the job. They've accepted that.
Of course, and kind of intrusion and privacy and all the rest of it. You know, we've heard that situation about people potentially trying to access, you know, Catherine's private medical records. And it reminded me of a situation about kind of 9 years ago, I think it was, where Kate Middleton, as was often referred to then, was in hospital, and I think it was severe morning sickness, and a radio station pranked and pretended to be the Queen and Prince Charles, and got through. The nurse passed them through to the nurse that was looking after. And that story had a horrendous outcome, Cameron.
Yeah, it certainly did. This was, I believe it was when the princess was pregnant with Prince George, her first child, and she had severe morning sickness. She went to King Edward VII Hospital in central London. And as you say, Michelle, very sadly and very inappropriate is the wrong word, but two Australian radio DJs phones the hospital pretending to be the Queen to be put through to the princess to ask how she was doing, Duchess of Cambridge at the time, of course. And the nurse did put her through to the room, and the princess's private nurse answered the call and then got suspicious and hung up. But the nurse that put the pranksters through to the room where the princess was staying, unfortunately ended up taking her own life.
She did.
And that is the dangers with this kind of speculation perhaps we've seen over the last few weeks. And then, of course, we had very serious allegations a few days ago of members of staff, unauthorised members of staff, attempting to access the Princess of Wales's medical notes. Investigations are ongoing. We don't have any confirmation. But clearly the Princess has been subject to a lot of hysteria and harassment to some extent over recent months. And she says in the statements the Princess has released this evening that she wishes for privacy, that some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatments. And I think that is clearly what she really wants, particularly in this 3 weeks as the news sinks in for her, her husband William and her 3 young children.